Hello, in front of us today is a Simplex Prestige. I really like this one. There's obviously quite a few variations of the Simplex Prestige. This one I thought was particularly interesting in light of the design of or the positioning of the limit screws, which seems to have some kind of barrel adjusting part here in the middle, which I thought was very cool. And also there's two E-clips that can be removed, which means that we can actually take off big chunks of parts on this derailleur. So the cage is slightly bent, so I'm going to have to rectify that. I'm not sure if there's supposed to be a cover like on this side that's missing. It doesn't have any, it won't cause any problems though on its functionality. There's also a broken jockey wheel, unfortunately. So I'll need to find a replacement. I've actually got quite a few derailleurs with broken jockey wheels. The unfortunate disadvantage of plastic. So let's begin dismantling. I think what we're going to do is begin by removing the cage for the with the jockey wheels. So let's take off that screw right here. It's a flat-headed. Wonderful, it comes off nice and easily. And that will allow us to detension that. For the next part, what I'm going to do is use a number 14 cone wrench, which allows you to hold in place the nut right here. You might well be able to do this without, but I've noticed on these older derailleurs it seems to be easier to do this like like what I'm doing now. So there's a flat-headed screwdriver here. Hopefully this won't be too tight to take off. I can see how you could easily damage these heads. And it's come off fairly easily, in fact. So let's unscrew. Okay. Nice piece of aluminium there, I've noticed. Since I can't seem to release this, I'm sure it does come off though. I'm going to remove the nut in between. Which hopefully won't be too difficult to take off. Man, what it is. Yeah, there you go. Okay, figured it out. So you need to remove this nut to be able to push this bolt going through up here, and then you can pull off as well the coil spring there. Now, what I didn't do, unfortunately, was remove this type of locking spacer washer. And if I had done that straight away, what's actually underneath, and you can see inside there's an Allen key screw, and then after you can obviously undo this as you can hold on to something while you're doing it. So it looks like it's a number 5 inside there. And now we should be able to remove this. I think I might use a thicker wrench. Alright, got that off. That's fairly tight. So now normally that comes out through there, and there you go. Finally. And now we can finally remove the rest. So we've got the little E-clip right there. Interesting design. Got it. That was mega tight. Okay, yeah. So just to make sure that the that tip there is going to go into the hole at the bottom. Unbelievable that this is still in. That this is not cracked at all. It needs a very good clean though. Alright, completed. So I'm going to chuck this into the wash. I didn't actually undo this. I just remembered. So let's do that. Oh, wow. With a little bit of force I managed to undo it. It's very, very tight. Here I am just putting some linen seed oil on the plastic. I'm using a brush to access the hard to get to parts, and then I will use a cloth to finish it off. I'm not super sure how effective this is on plastic. Apparently it's pretty good. I've used it now on a few parts and seems to hold up quite well. In any case, the plastic was fairly dry, so it definitely needs something to somewhat renovate it. Likewise, these the kind of springy limit screw now is working again. Needed just some cleaning, and we'll add on some grease. I'm gonna polish the cage plates. They're rather dull as they stand, so might as well give them a Bit of brightening. When I was emptying out the bucket, after cleaning, I found these really thin spacers. I didn't even know that they were on there, so they fell off when I was cleaning. And where they were actually placed is somewhere on the jockey wheels. I didn't know whether it was inside or outside, but I've just found this diagram, and it looks like they were on the outside of the type of plate that's on the middle there. And also something else that I discovered, I didn't realize that Simplex had two different types of jockey wheels. So on the SLJ660 that I was working on before, I'd noticed that the bolts were not maxing out to the other end of the cage plate, the internal one, and it's probably because at the base, or originally, there were these ones on here, and they're actually thinner than these type of jockey wheels that they use. So I'm gonna have to find ones that actually fit perfectly for these ones, and not these thicker ones, because I have a feeling it will do the same thing on this one that we're working on. And obviously, there's a reason for them doing this. For the springs, I'm just gonna put regular. I'm going to use my Morex grease. Could use Teflon grease since it's made of mostly plastic, this derailleur. Up to you. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is put the spring inside the parallelogram plate. So there's two little bits there sticking out for this type of spring. And there's two holes there at the back. So we're going to push them in. And you should already be able to recline this just to test. And then we have the type of pin there that we need to screw in. Before I zoom in to make it a little bit easier to see. So yeah, that spring, I've had to move it towards a bit more in line with the hole here, because we're going to run that pin through, and obviously we want that to hold in place. So I'm just pushing the pin with the little flat-headed head there. Now we've got to run this pin through this side. I actually put my little bits on a magnet now to avoid losing them. So there's the E-clip to insert there on the other end of that pin. That's one. And before we close this off, I've actually put some grease on the threaded parts there for these this type of limit screw adjustment. And that way we've got more access to it now than after, especially for spinning these little wheels. So yeah. And finally, we've got the other pin to put through. I have to recline this one a little bit back to do it, to line it up a little bit harder. I should have done that maybe, no, I couldn't actually. Oh, finally got it. Alright, let's do the type of pivots that we've got here. So we've got that coil spring, and so one tip, or that, yeah, this tip here, that's by the way, this is the shortest one. There's one that's a tiny bit longer. Yeah, so this tip here is going to go into, there's, well, the third hole that's not being used. You pop that into there. Okay. And now we're going to put this bolt, I guess, and run it through here. And you want the tip that's internally in the spring to latch onto the to that groove that's on the bolt. And let me put that on. I'm gonna do the other one as well. So that tip there goes onto the hole there on the top. Wait. And on this end, I believe there was this bolt. So one part is kind of grooved, and that was actually facing this way, where I'm screwing down. I don't know. And on the other end, we have the kind of hanger holder. I can't remember what the specific name for that was. And then we have this bolt. So the cylinder-shaped part inserts into the back here. Now it's the moment to tension up these springs. Let's start with this one. When I initially took the derailleur off, this was in this position, and you had that tab that was stopping there at the back. So now what I've done is I've put the Allen key wrench in, and we're going to hold this in place, and I'm going to turn the I don't know, the Allen key wrench, let's say half a turn or maybe less. I don't want to do it too much. Maybe let's do not a quarter, but a little bit more than a quarter in between, let's say 35 degrees. And once you've done that, you then tighten up the bolt behind. There you go. So now let's take it all out, and then you should have something like this. So it's reclining. I think that's a little bit too much. I might put it to a quarter now that I look at it. It seems kind of tight. I think the spring might pop out if I leave it like that. There. So I'm going to just turn it maybe there. Not too much. Let's try it like that. Yeah, that seems a bit better. And finally, so on this end, you'll have the what's it called again? Stopper washer. And then we have this cover with a flathead screw to put back in. And by tightening this, I believe that it puts this close. And on the other end, you have that nut. Same thing, really. Just have to screw that all the way down. Although this spring will be tensioned by the jockey wheel cage itself. And now for the jockey wheels. So in this position, just to make it clear, you have this cage, and it's got kind of one part that's lowered in. That's actually where the heads of the bolts go. Now we've only got one Simplex jockey wheel to work with, since I cannot obtain another one so easily. Putting a little bit of grease on the interior itself, and now we put the plates on each end. So I'll put the bolt through. We're going to have a spacer, then the bolt, and I'm not going to put the other one in. I'll just put the bolt instead, and the spacers so we don't lose them. Put the plate. And now we can put the internal cage plate. And so now what we should be able to do is screw that back on. So while screwing it on, I was wondering, is that T there, that small little T, anything to do with lining up with that hole? Because it does seem to, once you tighten it all the way down, it goes perfectly there. Could just be a T to represent the letter T as well. Anyway, it's now, you're going to pretty much turn this anti-clockwise, and we'll screw down the stopper bolt here. Et voilà. There. Just wiping off any excess grease. And when you want to adjust, when one wishes to adjust the adjustment limit screws here, it's a little bit annoying, because you have to kind of recline the derailleur to be able to move these, because if you don't, they're kind of like very stiff and hard, because obviously the little bit of plastic there's pressing against it. Also, I noticed you have to kind of have it to around about this position, a little bit off on this side, otherwise it's rubbing there on the interior, the bolts hitting the plastic. So a few days later, completed. Something I did want to point out. So the jockey wheels actually initially were asymmetric, very hard to find. I haven't found any, in fact. And I've ended up putting on some regular Simplex jockey wheels. I don't know how that transfers onto performance, but I had no choice. They seem to fit on as well, though they are a little bit thicker. Anyway, I hope this helped you repair your Simplex rear derailleur, and until next time, peace out.